Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I want to talk about how Playable League's bias is actually ruining our saves in FM. It has been a known fact and it has been discussed on the internet for ages now that Football Manager is kind of biased towards England and that English clubs are doing way too well in the Champions League, that England as a nation is winning too many World Cups. But you know what? It turns out it is not just English bias, it's actually Playable League bias. For ages, we've been playing this simulation game on toasters and other hardware equipment that is not suitable for running too many leagues, and we're playing with too many players in the database. And now that lately I've started running games with more playable leagues, I started noticing the pattern. It is not really English bias, it is actually Playable League bias. A couple of months ago I decided to run a test and just simulate the world of football by using one single playable league just to see what's gonna happen, and I decided to pick India. I knew that there is bias towards the leagues that you select as playable, and I was like, okay, but India, sorry, they're not great, so maybe it won't influence at all. And at some point, turns out India, 300 years in the future, started winning the World Cups. And as you can see on your screens, 600 years in the future, they have 16 World Cups. And initially I thought, okay, but it's kinda expected because with the human potential that India has, if they start investing into football, and despite the fact that it's not the most popular sport there, if they want to, potentially in the future, they can be one of the huge football powers. So I thought, maybe that's fine. And then just to make a comparison, in the same save, Bulgaria has actually managed to get 1/3 place in the World Cup, and they were second once in the European Football Championship. And the world rankings of Bulgaria seemed to be like this all the time. They were dropping not below the 80th spot, and they were never going above the 20th spot. So keep this in mind as reference. Now I'm gonna show you a similar simulation with Bulgaria as the only playable nation/league in the game, 700 years in the future. Now, think of a number. How many World Cups do you think Bulgaria won? Drumroll, please. Think of a number. Now let's check together. 55 World Cups in 700 years. And if you're thinking like, okay, but other major nations by now have way more. No, that's not correct. Spain now has 24 World Cups. Brazil has 16. England has 10. Italy also 10. Argentina 6. And at this point, you kind of understand where I'm going with this. You can see that Bulgaria started the game at 75th spot in the FIFA ranking. It took them around 60 years to get into the top 30, and once they got there, it was pretty much a steady climb up. And in the next 100 years, they kind of got in the top 10, and from there on, second, first, second, first, and that's it. That's all the way up, all the way up. So, 200 years in the future, Bulgaria already won their first World Cup, and then they had spans of 6 in a row, twice I think, 5 in a row. So, why am I claiming that this is ruining your saves? Now, I'm gonna start my story by telling you, and actually showing you, what happened in the Premier League for these 700 years, and I want you to have a look at the variety of teams that were winning the Premier League. Now, have a quick look. We have the Man City, the Man United, the Liverpool, the Chelsea, the Arsenal here and there, and pretty much that's it. In the top 4, maybe some variety, but for 700 years, same teams, same teams, same teams. Maybe a Spurs here and there, but nothing outside of the top 6 that we have right now. So, why am I showing you this? In FM23, I had a save where I started Bulgarian 2nd division with the worst team there, and it took me maybe 4 seasons in order to get promoted to the first league. And when I got there, only 4, 5, 6 seasons in the future, Bulgarian teams were now constantly playing quarterfinals of the Champions League, winning the other European competitions, and getting the money to actually buy starting players from Porto and Sporting. They were investing 10 million in a striker when I was working with a budget of 500,000 for players, and it was so ridiculous that I think I won the Bulgarian league in 21 years, but I won maybe 2 or 3 European trophies before that. So the Bulgarian league was now maybe top 3, top 4 league in Europe, just because of the bias towards the Playable league. And I honestly used to think that this effect that we're seeing right here with domestic players from maybe a single Playable league performing too well, teams performing too well, is something that was by design in-game, for you to have like this feeling, oh, Bulgarian players are getting better, they are bought by PSG, and no, not really. I don't like it. Honestly, I don't like the fact that Bulgarian players a couple of years in the future are bought by PSG because they're names that I know, and they don't have the potential. They're not gonna get a transfer to PSG, to Man United, to Arsenal, so it's actually very unrealistic. And one of the things that we kind of like about this game is that it has some sort of realism. We kind of like it. It's not super unrealistic, unlike other games where we use the controller and we control the players. So this realism is definitely broken by this bias. I do understand the fact that it is because of the way games are simulated, and I'm pretty sure that when you have Playable leagues, games are simulated in one way, which is way slower, and for other leagues, results are simulated in a different way. Maybe toss of a coin, kinda more complicated, but the variety of results, it's not there. And I would really like to see SI put a bit of effort in that, so that in leagues that are not playable, we also get that variety of results and teams getting promoted, teams getting relegated. So it is 700 years in the future. The Bulgarian First League has absolutely no teams in it which are currently in the First League, but evidently in England for 700 years there's gonna be like just 10 teams winning everything. So this is not really realistic, and it kind of breaks the fun for me. I don't really want to see unrealistic transfers of Bulgarian players getting to the top teams in Europe, players that are currently on the roster of teams in Bulgaria, because I know that they don't have the quality. It kind of breaks the fun for me, and it very well may be just me, but I really want to see some improvements in that direction. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm always open to discussion, but definitely something that I would like to see improved.